Hey everybody, Anish Majumdar here, career coach to the fiercely ambitious. I want to talk to you today about a huge problem in hiring that goes largely unrecognized, and that is the lack of transparency. I see a lot of very, very qualified people asking for feedback from recruiters, asking for feedback from hiring managers when they didn't get a role, when they were passed over. And a huge problem I see is either they get zero feedback, none at all, no response. I'm sure you've had that happen to you at some point, or you get BS feedback. And the problem is, if you're a diligent person, you want to do the best. So you'll get this information that is quite frankly inaccurate. Oh, you just weren't qualified there. We could have used more training X. And then you go out and get the training, and guess what? You go back in the marketplace 2 years later, and it's the same problem. Why? Because the information was faulty. It was never that. That was never what was going on. And I want each and every one of you, if you're serious about moving forward in the hiring sphere, you've got to learn, okay? Not all data points are treated equally. Not all information and feedback that you're getting should be taken seriously in the same way. And you've got to apply your judgment and ask yourself, is this relevant? Is this not? So let's talk about 3 real reasons why people get passed over that no employer will ever tell you about, all right? And what can you do if you feel you're at risk of this? What can you do as a countermeasure, all right? The first one, I see this all the time. You are an outsider trying to play and succeed in an insider's game. Look, allow me to be politically incorrect for a second. If I'm, a self-made person from another country, I have an accent, I came from the outside, I made my bones, I didn't have any advantages given to me, and I'm looking at the road ahead, and I see my competitors, and the only people I'm tracking are people who are nothing like me. They're not self-made. They're not outsiders made good. They don't have the perspective of that. They're to the manner born. They have different colleges. They went to different colleges than I do. They had a different career track than I did. They have a different professional journey. Well, I really want you to ask yourself, the people that you are targeting right now, okay? Can you ever reach a point where you get beyond comparison? In other words, for the goals you're after right now, and I want you to be really honest, can you get to a place where no one would ever dare compare with you ever again? Or are you always going to feel compared versus that person with that Ivy League background? Are you always going to be compared versus the person who has that McKinsey background versus where you came up, which was not that? If that's the case, and if you cannot answer, yes, this is a pathway that would serve me as a unique individual, then you really need to go back to the drawing board and ask yourself, who are you targeting right now? Are those your people? A lot of times, what an outsider made good needs to do is ask him or herself, how can I position myself as an outsider made good? How can I stand for an offer and a way of impact that only an outsider can do? And I need to move forward, build relationships, and move to outcome from the place of challenging authority, challenging the status quo, instead of pretending I'm someone I will never be. Because wherever there's a status quo, wherever there is the insider game, there's a pathway for an outsider, but only if you recognize that. So I really want you to think really long and hard about what your goals are right now. Who are you comparing yourself to right now? And an easy thing that you can do is pull up LinkedIn profiles of people with unique backgrounds, pull up people with similar journeys to yourself, but who may be operating in different industries, different companies. Start learning about what some other outcomes are like. Start compiling a list of truly unique, high-level leaders who are doing amazing, impactful work that may be completely outside of what you're targeting, and start celebrating that individuality. Start looking at what outsiders made good are doing to position, brand, and set themselves up for success. And as you move in that direction, understand that you can take wildly bigger risks as an individual and as an outsider who is proudly an outsider versus someone who is pretending to be something they're not. A big mistake I made early on in my career coaching journey is I kept looking at these quote unquote more successful career coaches saying, I gotta be like them. It took me years before realizing I'm never gonna be like that, and no one would ever mistake me for that. I'm not one of these white-haired, out-of-date morons who are out there teaching you crap that they know for a fact is not going to work. It's the same hope and pray garbage that they've been peddling as basically adjuncts of corporate interest their whole life. I'm not that. I'm not that. Stop listening if that's me. If that's what you're into, right? Can you say the same? Here's another, so that's a big reason people will get rejected, because they're going in, positioning themselves, automatically they're getting written off by employers. Here's another one. You are excessively hung up on an old way of looking at yourself. I cannot tell you the number of times I've looked at resumes from people who are now, they should be positioning themselves like strategic business partners to a business, right? But they're still got that lesson that says, oh yeah, once upon a time when I was a computer engineer, listing out all of my skill sets and all my technical skills is what I need to do. So I see 3 pages of these skills that just make you look desperate at your level, right? Or you're describing responsibility after responsibility because that is what, when you were 3 or 4 years out of college, that's what you needed on a resume. But you never got the message that as a leader who can make impact, there should be nothing on your resume that is just about responsibilities. I'm already assuming you can do anything in a responsibility. I want to know what's beyond that. Now, how hung up are you in that old way of looking at yourself? Is it time to take a very, very different look at it? And the way to really look at this, okay, is the way to break yourself out of this is what I think of myself and how I position myself is completely immaterial. What I need to think about is the people who are feeling the pain of what I can do at the utmost. I need to start speaking their language. So I need to start looking at, observing CEOs, COOs, the highest possible level of people who are feeling the pain of what I solve. And look, if I solve business pain through tech, I'm not just looking to talk with tech people. I'm looking to talk with anyone who is unable to grow and develop this business, right? Whether it's people, strategy, whatever. Right? How much of that are you doing? How much time are you thinking about your target versus yourself? How much time are you thinking about positioning yourself towards what they want now versus the comfortable, easy way that you have grown used to looking at yourself? That is one of the number one reasons why otherwise qualified people are getting rejected right, left, and center. You look at their brand, you look at their positioning. This is old school, man. This is where you were 10 years ago. Come on, better to start from a blank page, or obviously even better yet, work with an expert like myself one-on-one to rebuild, to reflect where you are now. What are you doing, right? So here's the last one. You're not bringing the hope. Guys, no job offer on planet Earth, if the company knew what they were doing, was never just about the job. Not ever, okay? It was always about something more. So if you got caught in that thing of like, I gotta prove so much that I can do A, B, C, and D, what about the ultimate goal? How much time did you spend in your last interview talking about what life on a day-by-day basis is gonna look like for you, your team, their team, once we've done this and we're on to number 2, 3, 4, 10, 20? Somebody needs to embody the future state. Somebody needs to associate you getting that offer with a powerful step forward that is more than just solving problems. This is a decision I made to own my future in a different way. It's time to think big, dream big, and you better believe you got to come in there with that feeling. Because if you don't, who will? And if all you are is an analytical decision, you're never going to get that role. Not ever. Not in the way or in the frequency that you want. It's time to bring the hope. It's time to ask yourself, why are you doing this? It's time to actually own the highest possible expression of that and do that work, because lack of enthusiasm, lack of vision is a huge unspoken reason why otherwise qualified people get rejected by employers. All right? So those are the big 3. I hope that helps. If you want to go deeper with me, don't wait until tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Go to helloanish.com right now. HELLOANISH.com. I've got an in-depth masterclass ready and waiting for you there. I've got in-depth career trainings that you will not get anywhere else, certainly from these BS artists masquerading as career experts. All right? If that makes sense, Hello Anish is where you need to go. Bye-bye.